Hello there. Today I wanted to talk to you about acquisition. Acquisition of companies in the Indian context. Why do I say, after all, acquisition? Why? What is so special about the Indian context? Normally, when you want to acquire a company, you look at the balance sheet of the company, look at its assets, its liabilities, its cash flows. Primarily, this is a CPA or a chartered accountant's job. You bring in a little domain expertise to understand the context in which the company is operating. But in India, the situation is a little different. Balance sheets and numbers are often suspect. There's a lot of dressing up which happens in Indian balance sheets. Therefore, for a company which is wanting to acquire an Indian company, it is business due diligence which acquires the most significance. And how do you do your business acquisition? Business acquisition is best done. Business due diligence is best done by a group of business consultants. They look at the context in which the business is set, and I have seen that extremely important. What is the prospect of this business? What is the market like? What is the profitability of the business? What is the efficiency of the business, the way it is being conducted? These are the critical factors which you look at when you want to acquire an Indian company. There were a couple of companies in my experience which I wanted to acquire for a customer. And I found in both those companies, in case one, I found the business prospects of the venture, of the product which that company was doing. Business prospects were great. The future, if you were to acquire that company, the future would be fantastic. It had a long-term future. The challenge with that company was that it was short of cash flow. It was short of cash. So therefore the acquirer just had to put in cash. The organization was in place, everything was set. You could just go ahead and acquire that company. A term sheet could be very quickly worked in this particular case once an agreement on the numbers are made. In case 2, what I found was the business was okay, nothing very great, but when I started looking at the business due diligence, when I started doing the business due diligence of the company, I found that there were certain elements of business which were fundamentally loss making. A lot of dressing up of the balance sheet had been done, and it was very clear that anyone who would acquire such a company, the prospects appeared to be very great. The company had a good organization. Anyone who would acquire such a company is likely to suffer huge losses, because the elements of business which that company was in were fundamentally flawed. With these 2 examples, I'm trying to illustrate 2 different cases. It is meant to demonstrate the importance of business due diligence of an Indian company. If you were to go purely by the balance sheet, you would look at our dress balance sheets of case 2 and go ahead and acquire a company, and you would reject the balance sheet of case 1 because there were cash flows were very poor, there was hardly any profitability, the company was cash strapped, and you would have rejected if you were to look at it purely from the CPA's standpoint. So, if you were to take these factors into consideration, you would be able to make a reasonably good business call while acquiring an Indian company. Thank you.